for Mother's Day, which is that Sunday following that Saturday, you can get 2 tickets for $40, and you can take your mother and yourself. So take advantage of that. So this Saturday, the 7th of May, from 7 to 10, doors open at 6, and it's going to be at Grove Church on West Norfolk Road. So support the Wesley Service Community Center in their efforts and their fundraising efforts this Saturday. Tickets are still available. You can get them on site, or you can go on to their website and go on Eventbrite and get your tickets. So I just had to get that in. Thank you, everybody, for listening and waiting. So we have our special guest this morning, the Honorable Lisa Lucas-Burke, Councilwoman of the City of Portsmouth. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning, James, Leah, and
Good
Thomas.
morning,
I'm glad to
lady.
be with you all this morning.
Thank you. Glad to have you.
Thank you for coming back. And hold up just a minute. Okay, we're also, I'm also streaming on my Slim Nation podcast. So welcome to the listeners on the Slim Nation podcast as well. Lisa, we're going to start, and I'll start right quick, and the other hosts will jump right in. I want to talk about the most recent event in your life, the 420s. And
absolutely.
820-ish?
So
The 420-ish?
420-ish?
Yeah,
420-ish.
Yeah.
20-ish. The festival, a festival that you and your mother and Teresa, Senator Lucas, and your mother and Teresa, your sister, were involved in as far as sponsors. So it turned out pretty well, but I want to know what attracted you all to in the beginning as they presented the idea to you all to be such heavy sponsors of this event in the first place.
Yes, I'm glad you asked, because we are a city, Portsmouth, that is changing, and we need to change with the times. We came up, actually, this idea was presented to my mother, Senator Lucas, who you all know, state senator, and one of the legislation bills that she passed year before last, along with casino legislation, was the legalization of marijuana. And it wasn't to be a negative bill or legislation. It was to help African-American males who are always being criminalized with their use or their sale or whatever their business was with the marijuana. So we all know that 420, April 20th, is associated with the legalization of marijuana. So we wanted to come up with a festival, an event that would kind of highlight that option. And so we didn't get the 420 actual date. And so we wanted to go that weekend because it would get more mileage and more attendance and more engagement. So we came up with the idea of 420-ish. So that was the 23rd and the 24th weekend. And there were some organizers. Of course, you've heard of Jermaine Green and Lakeisha Clue Atkinson, who spearheaded the idea, but they also needed some other people to help get the backing with it. And so they presented the idea to my mother, and because she had sponsored the legislation in the Virginia General Assembly. And so, whenever my mom takes on a new venture, we kind of tag along to try to learn and try to see what's going on. So we dug in. I had a little bit of apprehension because, like many of the other citizens in the city of Portsmouth, nothing like this had ever happened in the city of Portsmouth. And we wanted to be community. We wanted it to be someplace where everyone was inclusive and could get involved. So we chose the Sportsplex as the venue, and everyone was skeptical about that because it was just a blank field. What are you going to do? How are you going to hold a concert with all of these name highlights artists who are going to come to perform? But we transformed that field into one amazing venue. And when you stepped inside, some of the posts that I pasted on my Facebook page and other social media avenues, people was like, where are you? And I said, I'm right here in Portsmouth, on Portsmouth Boulevard at the Sportsplex. And it was absolutely beautiful. The energy was contagious. People had a good time. We had zero incidents, and that's what you get when people can come together for food and music and fun and just togetherness in unity, to enjoy each other and to enjoy an event such as 420ish. So people are wondering if it's coming back next year, and we're looking at bringing it back next year.
Oh, wow.
And it sort of opened up that area that we ride by often and just see the blank field and wondering what's going to happen there. What is the city going to do? And it opened up, avenues for other venues to come through. And
Absolutely.
I'm looking at
now
something
that they see it can be done, and they see it can be done professionally. Ike Owens was one of our behind the scenes production managers, and he knows the right people to bring on a production, the stage and just the whole screens and the sponsor boards were just beautiful, amazing.
Yes, it was. Hopefully it's something jazz can come through there for.
Absolutely. We're gonna put a different kind of spin on it next time and try to get some jazz and some R&B in there, and get a little different thing, and bring some different artists, because we had a good mixture. It wasn't a lot of diversity, but we did have some mixed crowd that out there enjoying the festival.
Yeah, and I think it helped Portsmouth in a way to say, well, you can come to Portsmouth and have a good and safe time, and
exactly.
And all the other things that's going on as far as crime, that's happening all over, and
it is. It's a nationwide epidemic. It is.
That's something that the city and many groups are trying to deal with, as we speak. So, and I just wanted to get that out first, and that were wondering, why you all were involved, and what was your motivation to get involved, and I guess if you weren't, it might not have happened.
Yes, and that was a major key player, because the city was a little skeptical on putting on an event to this magnitude, that where the numbers where the field could hold was like 30,000, but of course we didn't get close to that at all. But everyone, police and the city and Parks and Recreation and all of the players who would have to be involved, our Commissioner of Revenue with the taxes that the vendors and the food trucks would have to pay. So it gave a lot of people an opportunity to come together, to make some money and to have some fun. And that was the mission, that was the task. And we can check that off and say 420ish was a successful event where all players involved, and even the community, they had the street blocked off. They made a block party and they had one fabulous time. Our police department and our sheriff department were key players in keeping the city safe. And, it was just amazing. So we know that when we come together and we bring the right people to the table, it can get done. Yeah.
And I'll yield to my other co-host, but the Colonel might want to do a little disclaimer there first.
Yes, I better put it out there, because one, for those out there in electron land that are listening to us and viewing us on Facebook and whatever, the views listed on this program are those of the host and our guests, and not of the radio station. And so we don't want to go to Facebook jail or anything like that.
Absolutely.
I do have a comment though, because you hit a couple key words that are not, that, as you said, the nation is changing. It's not really changing in my mind. It's just that it is a lot of the Confederates across the country are allowed to speak up and talk about what their grievances are. And you talk about the 420ish and the legislation for marijuana. Already, our Confederate governor is trying to roll back progress past doing when we had a Democratic administration.
Right.
And so, are you seeing more of that down at the city level that would, and them trying to change things and roll us back to the? We already know they want to put us back to the 50s, and with this Confederate administration that we have in power now.
Exactly. And the good thing about us at the city level is that these are state legislations. And so the state is pretty much mandated on what will go forward and what can be halted. In the city, we are a city that a Dillon rule city. So we pretty much follow the rules and the guidance of our state legislators, and
Mhm.
that's why it's not at our level to make those decisions or to make the changes. I mean, we can be vocal on our own opinion, but our legislation or our city resolutions and charter information don't prohibit or don't allow us to make any changes to state legislative issues. So they got to battle that out with their boxing gloves at that level. And I think that they still have a majority Democratic Senate.
Mhm.
So they're able to control a lot of that legislation. And that's why we need to get out and vote in November to make sure that we get our House delegation back into the blue wave that's carrying the state right now by the Senate majority.
Well, you know what, you hit a key point that we need to get out here and vote, because if we would have gotten out and say a modest 30,000 votes across the station, across this country, the state, we would not have had lost the House here in the state of Virginia. And you have seen all these negative bills come across from what I call the crazies in the
Absolutely.
And
Exactly.
they might as well put their Confederate mask on and then go up there and they just do anything they want to do.
Yeah, they've been given a hall pass to carry on in any manner, in any fashion that they desire. And it was reported to us in one of our Democratic committee meetings that Portsmouth had the lowest turnout of all of the Hampton Roads cities
Mhm. Mhm.
in Virginia this last election cycle. So we can't let up. We can't step on the brakes. We got to keep going with full throttle, full fast ahead, so that we can get that kind of mileage to stay ahead of their game, because their resources are stronger and longer than ours, and we got to make the most. And our vote is powerful, and we need to use that every time.
Yes, yes. That's a good point, because I say, if you stay at home, then you deserve on what you're going to get.
That's
Mhm.
exactly it.
You know,
You had to learn a lesson. You
Yeah.
had to learn a lesson.
And you know what? And then I say on the national scene, the Democrats they cry about our two pseudo Democratic senators, Manchin and Sinema. But we need to talk to the country and says, we really don't. We have a very thin margin in the Senate on the federal level, but they're pseudo, and so we really don't. It's just a tie. And so if you liked your, say, for instance, the child tax credit and like getting that check, it's not the Democrats that took it away from you. It's
Mhm.
Republicans took it away from you.
Right.
If you got your vaccine and you are living the day and because of the vaccine and it kept you safe, look at what the Republicans doing. They're trying to cut money and stop you getting your vaccine and the treatments. So think
Any way that they can. Yes, absolutely. They need to take the blinders off and see it for what it really is.
Yes. And we can go down the list, all the way down the list. Everything that is good that's come out for this country is come because of the Democrats. Everything is the Republicans lockstep in step to stop progress in this country.
Right.
Just to get back in power. As a matter of fact, even in the international scene, they are the Confederates, Green and Metz and all those other guys. They're even trying to stop money for Ukraine now.
Mhm.
Right. Exactly. So that they want us to take one giant step back, on the progress that we've made, and we cannot allow that to happen because they have resources that a lot of Democratic people do not have access to, with the funding and even with the the federal income tax and the breaks that people in other brackets get. that we don't have the benefit of. They want charter schools because they want, to continue to have that type of education for their children and their neighborhoods. And we have to keep fighting for education and just public safety and just affordable, decent housing. And those are some of the same issues that are at the federal and the state level that we continue to advocate for here at the local level as well. Right now, we're in our budget season, so we're looking at our different capital improvement plans that's going to help us to make decisions to help make Portsmouth a better place to live, work, play, and recreate. Since we talked about recreation and events and festivals, because that's what brings in the economic driver, because people come to your festivals and then they stop at your restaurants and then they gas up at your, gas stations, and they stay at your hotels. Of course, we need more hotels. And then we also have another driver, not to put the radio station in any Facebook jail, but the casino is something that people want to see here as another form of entertainment as well. And it's not going to be just the gambling segment. It's going to be a place where people can come and have wedding receptions. They can go there for a nice dinner because it's going to be a nice steak restaurant. I had the privilege of seeing Rivers Casino Philadelphia as the model to see what was going to come to us as Rivers Casino Portsmouth, and the floor was amazing. I mean, with the restaurants and the shops and the eateries and just the sports betting room is going to blow your mind. There were like 12 ceiling to floor televisions with two rows of bucket recliner seats. The fellows are going to love it. I don't know how the women are going to keep track of their men now when the games come on, the baseball games and the football games and the basketball games. Is just going to be a place for people to just go and to hang out and to have a good time, And then if you have your gamblers who love their poker and love their roulette and love their slots games, it's going to give them an avenue, something to do other than, some of the things that we have. So it's going to definitely put Portsmouth on the map, and I'm ready for it. And I'm glad to be one of the members who was on the council with the initial thoughts and the plans, and then to take it across the finish line and to be on the council when we have our grand opening, hopefully September of this year, next year.
This year.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We're pushing for it. They said next year around April, but hopefully they might be able to get it done by end of this year so that they can get people going and engaged before some of those holidays. They want to try to catch some of those holiday shoppers.
Well, I know they're moving pretty fast. Every time you ride through there, you're just seeing more and more construction being finalized.
Absolutely. And now we just need to hold them to the promise of the minority participation to make sure that some of those jobs go to people here in our community, in Portsmouth community, and the 757 area as well, because that's going to, make everybody feel like they have a part in it. If you weren't at the table making the decisions or deciding on the rule or making the vote that made it happen. And of course, we all had an opportunity to vote when it was on the ballot as, one of the, I just lost it. Referendum. Thank you, Slim. Yeah, so we all had a part in that, but now we get a part in people having some quality jobs as well.
Are they going to have some training sessions for individuals who may be hired there?
Yes. Absolutely. They're going to have for all of the positions that will be hired in the casino, like such as table dealers or machine repairers, technicians. There will be training. And the great thing about that is TCC is right next door, and they're partnering with Rivers Casino to make that happen. So some of those courses will be as close as TCC right next door. So people will be able to come to work, get their educational piece, at one portion, and then return back and be able to get paid. And these are not minimum wage jobs. These are higher paying jobs as well. Casino dealers I've heard can make up to $40,000-$50,000 a year, and that's not chump change for this area.
Lisa, let me ask you, and you've been on the EDA, Economic Development Authority, and so have
Yes.
I. Spent the
Right.
8 years on there. And when you're on that kind of commission, your vision as far as economic development goes further than tomorrow or next week. It goes years down the road. And when I was
Absolutely.
on, we would see things, and a lot of those things didn't come to developing, but when we were talking about it, we were seeing down the road what this could do. And I'm looking at the casino like that. But one thing I want you to clear up for those people that are against it, always speculate and don't pay attention to the details. As far as the part in the contract about the hotel, I think one of the things the company wanted to make sure before they build a hotel, they know which star they want to bring in here. And that's
Absolutely.
how the casino does and things like that. But I think it's gonna turn into the hotel coming. But they have to
Absolutely.
explain the time frame that they have under contract to do something, and what happens if they don't meet that.
Right.
But
So,
Lisa-
so under the contract that we signed with Rush Street, a hotel is coming. It's just not coming side by side with the casino. They wanted to bring the casino up first and to see what kind of demographics of people were coming. Is it going to be older white women? Is it going to be young Black males? Is it going to be a mixture of middle-aged people? Is it going to be an Asian group that's going to be coming? What kind of amenity would support a casino of that fashion? And they'll be able to tell that because they've done Rivers Casino Philadelphia, Rivers Casino Schenectady, and other areas as well. So they know how to gauge the crowd that's going to be coming in. So once they have that, they'll know whether we bring a Marriott brand, a Hilton brand, or whatever type hotel is going to need to be there.
Interrupt just for a second, because I think the colonel was trying to let us know, and I looked up at the clock. We're approaching 7 o'clock, so we just have to make that transition. Well, not a transition, in the radio and continue Facebook Live.
Okay.
So I want to thank all the listeners on WGPL 1350 for joining us this morning, and we'll see you next week on Portsmouth Coffee Talk. So I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but go ahead, continue, Lisa.
Yes, no problem. So the demographics of the casino being erected, and once we're up and running and able to determine what type of crowd we're going to have in our casino will help them to be able to decide which type of hotel brand to build. Do we need an extended stay? Are people going to stay that long? I don't think so, not for a long term, but something nice quality overnight, or just something where people could come in to have a good, nice rest, safe, comfortable, good lodging with maybe breakfast in the morning or something. So they need to determine if it's Holiday Inn brand, is it Hilton brand, is it Marriott brand, and they will be able to determine that by the crowd. Now, the thing about the second part of the contract, if they don't build within, I believe it's 18 to 2 years and to 2.5 years after the casino is up, then the city has an option to buy back the portion of that land and to build our own hotel brand. And of course, we have a Marriott brand Renaissance. And so, do we, complement that with additional lodging, or do we seek out another type of lodging so that people can have a choice? When people go to an area, some people only like Hilton, and some people only like Marriott or Residence Inn. And I found them all to be, even Hampton Inn's Suites has nice amenities as well. So, together, but I think that the casino, I think they're going to marginalize on that casino and the crowd that they have, and they're going to take it right to the next level. It's, of course, starting out, it's going to be surface parking, so everyone will park ground level, just like when you go to Ocean Downs or Harrington Midway racetrack, where people used to call that. So all of that is ground level parking. But when they build a hotel with it, then of course that will come with an attached garage parking parking lot.
So, Lisa, are there is the hotel proposed to be right next to the casino?
Yes, yes, right next to, because that acreage, and don't get me, I don't have the exact number of the acreage, but when you ride past 264 and you see the massive amount of land that the casino is already taken up, that's just the casino portion. That hasn't even, you don't even see what the parking is going to be. And there's already land slated there for the hotel. So the amount of land that we have deployed to Rivers Casino is enough land for them to have the casino, the parking, surface parking, and then adding in a hotel with garage parking, and then also expanding later into our entertainment district, because we have voted that in through our planning commission as that's our new entertainment district. So that's where a lot of our entertainment venues will happen.
When you say the entertainment district, for those who may not understand, could you expound on that?
Yes, so the entertainment district is, and people establish them so that people know that that's the central area where people go for fun, for their entertainment, whether it's going to be eating, fine dining, casino gaming, sports betting, hotel lodging, and expanding into also an amphitheater where we could have concerts. When you drive by 264 and you see that little bit of water that they've created, that little pond lake area, that's going to be the area where the outside amphitheater will be for concerts to be held. And so all of that is part of the entertainment, whether it expands into a movie theater later or any of those other bowling alley, when you think of entertainment area district, that's where all of those kinds of things happen. I don't know, about a skating rink, but, the land is definitely there for developers to come in and to bring ideas that will give us that boost that we need to attract tourists to our area, and even just new homeowners to the area, because there is land behind the casino on the McLean side that will soon be coming available for future development as well.
So for those individuals who have expressed concern along that Victory Boulevard corridor, the fear that the city will eventually come in and take what properties they have in order to make this entertainment district come about, what do you say in reference to that?
Yeah, I mean, and I know that is a scary thing, because, people have been here, been in that space for years and years. And, I don't have any say into what happens with that, but we do need to make it more beautiful,
Exactly.
Whether that is offering them incentives to clean up their property, or just to change the face look of what it is. Because actually, when this casino come up in this entertainment district, it's going to be one of the most safest place in the city, because casinos have the ability to have surveillance cameras and just security and lighting and other amenities that helps a city to be safe. So that's going to be one of the safest places in the city for people to go. And of course, we wouldn't look at it as a negative thing if we needed to clean up the other side, because we know that has been, some areas have been an eyesore for many years.
Exactly.
So if someone offered you an incentive to make it more complementary to an entertainment district, then I think that, all parties will be pleased with whatever is being offered.
And especially if you have people coming in from out of town, you would like the area to look nice. That they're coming into in order to, and also listen, it keeps our seniors from having to get on those buses and head down to Dover and all the other places that they go.
Absolutely. And we know it's happening.
It's happening daily. It is happening daily. So
it is.
Okay.
Yeah, Lisa, for something like that, you don't have to create the wheel, invent the wheel again, because we've already done something like that downtown, offering incentives for businesses to do their front, to redo their front.
Interior build outs and the face, yes. facades.
They're coming there
Yes.
want to use eminent domain to take your property. They will also
Right, exactly.
incentive to improve your property. Or
Exactly.
if you're against
And that's how I look at it. We're offering you incentives to clean up, and some people might have been just waiting for this break because there was no other funding that came their way, to be able to do something like this. And they was pretty much in survival mode, and this is what I can do to continue to to feed my family and to survive with the skill sets that I have. So I think it's going to be a win-win, and I don't think anybody will be upset with the outcomes of beautifying our city along that Victory Boulevard corridor.
Yeah, there's still plenty of land behind the casino, and I think once the casino gets up and going, you're going to get knocks on your door by developers to.
Oh, absolutely.
You're right behind the casino,
right
off McLean
yes.
Street.
Yes. Yes.
Well, you know what, Lisa, you said you went down to the casino in Philadelphia, and when you got a chance to talk to those folks there, what was the revenue stream that was went directly to the city of Philadelphia? Because my fear is, as a businessman, looking at how we do books, and by the time I take all my write-offs, I'm gonna write down all my alleged profits that's coming back to the city of Portsmouth. And so the Commissioner of Revenue may have to put an accountant and put a desk down there to keep them jokers honest.
Absolutely. So I don't know actually what the revenue books look like for Rivers Casino Philadelphia, but I do know in our discussion, in our deliberations, and in the contract that we reviewed for City Council, our revenues for Rivers Casino Portsmouth is supposed to grow $16 million back to the city within the first year. So that's a hefty amount that we can put straight to our general fund, and our anticipation that it will be able for us to be able to help our schools. We need new schools in Portsmouth. We need to put more officers on the ground, employ more public safety officers. And we also need to be able to have an opportunity where we might consider being able to lower our real estate tax. And, if we are getting revenues consistently over a period of time that are of that magnitude, and it needs to be ongoing money. It can't just be the one-time money like we saw with our ARPA funds, because that come in and people think, oh, you got $54 million of ARPA funds. Oh, we could, do a lot, but that's just one-time funding. So when that one-time funding is expended, what are you going to do in the following year, in the year behind that? So this casino revenue is, and they've done the books and they know how to look at the numbers and see what it will gross. And they propose that the city of Portsmouth will be a $16 million revenue generator within the first year and a half of the casino being in full operation. And of course, the sports betting, which a lot of people like to do because they're bored betting on sports teams, and they just enjoy the fun of that business. That is supposed to bring us a percentage of those gross revenues as well.
I can go down there and get all that Dallas Cowboy money when
There
we
you go.
everybody else in the East.
Yes.
Lisa, I want to, we want to have time to get into the budget a little bit, but I wanted to ask you, as we talk about the city council and having diversity on the council, a lot of people always think diversity means, we want Black, white, or Asian or something like that. But to me, sometimes diversity means, male, female,
Exactly.
that kind of compliment.
Exactly.
I think one of the biggest success that we have here on Portsmouth Coffee Talk is our diversity between male and female. We have female, and it's always a different perspective, sometimes females. And history of Portsmouth always never had any more than 2 females at a time on our city council. And I thought, once we got to that point, it would stay that way at least. And now we got down to just 1. And, I don't know, does it make, how do you feel about, does it make being the lone female up there? And I'm not trying to make a big thing between male
Right.
and female, but I just
I
think
get
the diversity of male and female and having those different perspectives coming from a male point of view and a female's point of view is good for a city. And just to have gone down, just having one, it's kind of concerning to me, and that's just my personal thing. That's why I wanted to ask you how you felt about that, and what should we be looking at as far as, you know, we want the best up there and you know, the service, but what should we be looking at as far as, or should we look at that, you know, having that kind of mixture on our council?
Right. I mean, that's a great point that you bring up, because I had thought for sure that our city would have elected another female alongside me to serve on the council. But me being, you know, when I went to Norfolk State and majored in electronics engineering and graduated in my class, you know, the ratio of women to men in that field was low. So I was always used to being working alongside men. So you know, now that I've been on the council for, you know, during my second term, this makes 6 years that I've been on the council. I don't even think about it. I go in, I look at the resolutions, I look at, you know, the ordinances that we need to discuss. And of course, me being brought up in a household with the state senator, L. Louise Lucas, you know, I have a strong voice and I'm a strong advocate with men and women. I would like to see another woman on the council because women do bring that compassionate side to the decision making, and it adds a balance into the population. And we always say that, you know, we want our city to be diversified, and diversified, just like you said, it's not just all Black or all white or a mixture of Black and white and Asians or Hispanic. You know, it's now the diversity of your knowledge. What can your knowledge set bring to the table? So you have someone with economic development background, you have somebody with business background, you have somebody with you know, school or educational background, and that makes the diversity. So I don't really much, you know, focus on, although my opinion, I would like to see another woman serving with me on the council. I'm more concerned about the diversity in the skill sets that are brought to the table, because that's what's going to take us far. We need someone with good economic development sense. We need someone with good business knowledge and involvement, and just someone who you know, has a compassion for citizens and the safety and the health and just our children who are at school level, and our seniors who are desiring to be, you know, not kicked to the side, but be included on some of the decisions and, you know, amenities that are coming to the city, which gives value to their lives as well. So in a nutshell, I am the only woman, and you know, they don't treat me any different. You know, when we go into closed sessions, we go toe to toe, just like we are sisters and brothers. And I have no problems, you know, voicing my opinions alongside some of the male dominant male presence that we have on our current council. I stepped on that lightly.
Yes, you did. Very lightly.
Yes.
In the room, and I didn't bring that up to just say just vote for a woman just to have another woman or two on the council. You know, I still advocate making sure starting early and vetting the people that are running, and just consider if it's a woman or two or three in the running, you know, just take a look at them and see what they can offer the city council, and considering that they don't have anything to offer, I mean, you just go the other way. But, you know, you have to make sure you consider that, you know, for the reasons that you mentioned. But, you know, it's not the only thing that you're going to look for. Just put somebody up there because
Exactly.
they are
Right.
women, because they might not be right for the city.
Yes. Mhm.
Well, you know what? You mentioned that you step lively in that, and so I'm gonna step into that
Okay.
bucket that you just opened up.
I'm ready.
So yes.
See why we do
So say what now?
See why we do the disclaimer? Go ahead, Colonel.
Yes.
Yes.
I would say that you know, I'm a retired Army nurse, so I've worked with majority maybe 75% women in my career, throughout my career. And when I made colonel, I was the 7th African-American male to make 06 in our Army's Nurse Corps history.
Awesome.
So I'm all about diversity. And so, and when we talk about diversity, that word for the Confederates is a negative word. And I call the Confederates, for those who don't understand the word Confederates, is the Republican Party, because they are against affirmative action, they are against racial equality, they're against gender equality, and actually against everything except for
equality. Right.
Equality, and only will support if you are a blue-eyed, blonde-haired, old
Preacher.
white guy.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so as Slim talks about vetting our people that are running for any kind of office, be careful when we vet people, just because you have the loudest voice. And we do have some of your contemporaries on this city council, I would say, have a loud voice, but in my opinion, have no bandwidth to back anything up with.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I don't want to call out no names, but I will say this, and they know who they are. And they happen to be, since they're male, since you're the only female, but
That's
they're
it.
male. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, vet them, and then it's time to go to the polls, because if you want to make progress, you have to go to the polls and vote. And people with low bandwidth that talk loud get elected in low turnout elections.
Members, yes.
That's exactly it. That's
Yes.
exactly it.
And
Fan
so
club. We call them fan club.
Yeah, so
Fan club councils.
yes, I stepped into that lightly with that one too.
You
I'm trying to hold
did.
back.
we like it, but I do understand, and you touched on some good points, because it's not always about the verbiage that you can put out, and a lot of times, when I'm having conversations or when I'm speaking, and I don't speak a lot because it's a lot, we don't have a whole lot of time to carry on some of that discussion, but I try to ask my questions or make my discussion surrounded around what I think the citizens might want to know, even though I may have, and I use some of the knowledge or the information that I have to be able to share that with the citizens in a way that it helps to explain to them, what they need to know to be informed about upcoming venues or, locations or decisions that we're making that could impact their areas or their communities or their taxes or their children who are in school. So I try to share that information in a way that it helps them to be informed, rather than opposed to me trying to show how much knowledge I have about the situation, because people expect that. They expect if you're sitting there and you're getting the information that you should know, but I don't use it in a way that it makes me to shine. I use it in a way to help inform the citizens who voted for me to share that information with them.
Well, you've done your homework. You come to the table with your homework, and you've studied, and you got credibility. And the other thing too is with your mother. And actually, your mother used to work with my dad at the shipyard, so that's how long I know your family.
You know how hard they work, right? Exactly.
Yes. And my dad would always talk about your mom all the time before he passed on. But it's not the when you talk about foundation, and you have the foundation to talk truth, and you don't have to come out and just say I'm from the streets and that's my credibility.
Exactly.
As an example.
I think I call this a part of my natural DNA, because my mother has been elected for the greater part of my life, 33 years of my life, which is, more than half of my life. And so, I followed in those footsteps, even though I didn't want to do it right off. I wanted to be more of a servant, because that's what I do in Delta Sigma Theta, and that's what I do in the Links Incorporated, and that's what I've learned to do through my committee involvement through the Martin Luther King Leadership Steering Committee and the Democratic Committee. We provide service, so I was comfortable in that realm, and I wasn't comfortable being an elected official until I went to one of the state conferences of state legislators, and I saw the work that they were doing, because I had gone with my mom because she had had spinal cord surgery, and we weren't letting her go to any of those conventions alone. So we were there with her, and she registered me. And once I saw those state legislators from all across the country, advocating for some of the same things that we're advocating here for our little hometowns, I said, well, they're doing what I do all the time. When we go to Delta Days at the state capitol, and we go in to talk to our Congress men and women and our U.S. Senators, they were advocating for some of the same stuff that we do when we do that in Delta. And I said, well, I do this all the time, so I might as well try my hand at being an elected official. And so I threw my hat in the ring in 2016. And the thing about it was, I didn't really care. I didn't care if I got elected or not. I just wanted to see, if I could do it and make it tangible to the work that I'm already doing as a public servant. And when I got elected, I was the top vote getter in 2016. And it was because my passion was there to have my city to grow, and for us to bring more things to Portsmouth that would put Portsmouth on the map, to be able to bring more eateries and more businesses and more restaurants, and to improve on our schools, and to beef up our public safety, and to be able to offer more affordable housing on this side of the Elizabeth River, so that people wouldn't have to spend that toll tax going back and forth for employment through other cities. And I just wanted Portsmouth to be better than it had been in previous years of my living here. I'm proud to say in August, I'll be 59 years old. And I think that we've done more in the last 10 years than we had done in the first 40 years, of my life. And I'm proud to say that, as a member of council, I have been one of the advocates to make some of those things happen.
Excellent.
Lisa, time is not going to allow us to really dig deep into the budget, but I think one of the hot topics of the budget this year, and I encourage people to pull that budget up and look at it, and so you won't be surprised after July 1st what's going on. There's certain things you have to dissect that budget. It's kind of too late to get into that window where you come down before council and give your concerns. But one of the big issues is the assessment values and how they have raised throughout the different communities. And I'll say this first, of the people that have issues with their assessments, there are three ways you can address it. You can go to the office and make an appeal. And if you don't like that, you can appeal to the Equalization Board, which I
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm a member for a long time. And I'll tell you, when you come before that Equalization Board, have your stuff together.
Right.
Almost let it loose, but have your stuff together. And so you can prove, because by law, we as a board have to assume that the assessment office assessments are true. And it's up to you to prove to us. And a lot of times people come prepared and we change it if we see that it's some unequal assessment as far as your property. And if you don't like what we do, you can appeal again to the circuit court who appoints us. So that's remedies you can go through as far as appealing your assessment if you think it's too high. But that was a hot topic in the public hearing part of the budget session. And so what is the city council proposing, or after listening to some of the citizens, what direction are we going as far as that? Because we're not going to raise the rate.
Right. No, the rate is going to stay the same, but it's going to be, there is a 7% proposed increase on the assessment, the assessment value. And because, the city is improving. And of course, and some of the areas, they're building a lot of new homes in some of the communities. And of course, the assessments hadn't been done over a period of time. And so they're pretty much catching up now, because I know that people have made some improvements to their homes. So those values have increased. So the value increasing is not such a bad thing, because it allows you to be able to have more equity in your home. And if you're seniors, if you're looking to leave your property to children or grandchildren or whoever your lineage allows you to do that. It allows us as a community, as a people, to be able to acquire revenues through another means, and that's through home ownership and land ownership and assets. So I think a lot of people, and I hear it, but I get it, that the property, the values are being increased, and that's going to increase the taxes that people would have to pay on that. But it's also building your equity ability to be able to be a playing field when you go and leverage for loans or just any kind of asset ownership. So we need to look at it in a different aspect, that this is helping me to be able to perhaps create some generational wealth for my family, because we have this home and we have this value and it's increased. You want your property to be, to have high value when you want to sell at some point in the future, but not high value when you have to pay the taxes. So you really can't have it both ways. We want our city to be improved and to have more meaning and to have more value. And this is one of the ways that it happens. And I know that the gentrification piece comes in, that is it going to, make it so high that people can't afford to keep their homes. And that's not the intent at all. And that's when you would go the route that James mentioned through the appeal process, through the Commission of Revenue and the Equalization Board, and then Fourth Circuit, the circuit court that appoints our members to that commission. So there are ways around it, but I would like for people to get in a mindset of building generational wealth, building an opportunity to be able to have something to leave to your offspring, to the next generation in your family lineage.
Because it's solely based on the activity in your neighborhood. If you see a lot of new housing coming up in your neighborhood, they base it on the recent sales and everything. So
absolutely.
And that's why there's
comparable properties in your community.
Right. And that appeal process is there for those people, because they do it on a neighborhood, level. So they might not look at your home and you can prove that your home doesn't need to be assessed that much. But one warning, if you had done some things to your house and didn't get a building permit, don't ask them to come out to your house, because they're going to find those things that you should have gotten a building permit before, and you might have to, your assessment's going to go up even higher.
Because we've had people who have added on Florida rooms, they've added on pools, they've added on an extended garage, and they still want to pay the 1968 rate, when, you have modernized your home to be, and a modernization is good, because it, allows you better living space, and it also gives you more asset value in your home. So I think we need to look at it on, if we can get that mindset, and everything's about education and learning and having more knowledge. So if we get them in the mindset of, this is helping me to build assets and generational wealth for my future lineage, then we'll look at it differently, rather than, more taxes. And and some of the people that come and complain, they know that they've done some improvements to their homes too, but they just don't want to pay the additional taxes that go along with that.
And real quick, the CIP is going to be able to handle these potholes and all the things. That's capital improvement.
The capital improvement, absolutely.
And I think the city manager has dedicated a lot of money to that. In order,
she really has.
A lot of different areas as far as infrastructure, and we need a new middle school and things. Well, that's not CIP, but CIP, the capital improvement.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. Exactly. That's on our list. So we have some long-term goals and we have some short-term goals and some things that we need to do immediately. And then, of course, the infrastructure bill that came with Colonel was talking about at the federal level, those funds are being transferred down for infrastructure for localities as well. So we'll be able to use some of that funding to help to get some of our capital improvement plan projects completed as well.
Good points. Great points. Great points. You know what? And since we're talking about taxes, one of the things you mentioned is generational wealth. I think that is an educational piece that we don't teach our young kids. And we need to do that in the grade school through high school, and then as they go off to college. And so as our parents and their parents in transition, they understand what's when that day comes, and that day will come, what to do with that that pot of money that's sitting out there. And too often I see that we don't know what to do with it. We buy a quick car, Cadillac or whatever, and that money is just burnt up. And within 6 months to a year, they're in debt, their money's gone, and they're in a worse shape. Right. So we have to teach our youth how to hold on to money, how to invest, and what generational wealth means. And I think we've fallen down as a people, especially people of color. We've fallen down and we've fallen way short on that. And you mentioned tax. The only thing that holds us, the difference between us, America, and a third world country is our tax system. So if you want to have potholes, then don't pay any taxes.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. If you don't want good schools, don't pay
no taxes. And if you don't want good public safety, don't pay taxes.
Don't pay no taxes. And
that's what helped build our budget. When we have that revenue, that revenue that comes from the taxes is what helps us to build up that general fund to be able to take care of the potholes, to be able to build a new middle school, to be able to add, 50 new police officers to the force, or be able to, help fund, other public safety. And then, of course, something that we haven't touched on is our jail. We have an aging waterfront prime property that needs to be, discussed. We need to move all of that civic center location off of the waterfront, and it's going to take funding to do that. Whether we work, we're going to work with our sheriff to find the best housing for a city jail, whether that be in a location that's already existing in the city of Portsmouth through our Hampton Roads Regional Jail, or whether we look at a new site closer to our courts. And that's discussion that we have to have, but it's going to take revenue, and that revenue comes from the taxes. And that's what makes cities great. So when you go to some of those other cities and you see that their roadways are beautiful and their court systems are beautiful and their home housing communities are beautiful, it's because their taxes help to build that budget for them to be able to do those things.
And doing the tax system correctly, because you mentioned the downtown tunnel. And the tax, what you said, the tax that we paid going across back and forth with that was a negative regressive tax put on by a Confederate governor, a Republican governor. And
keep us boxed in. Right.
It was boxed in. And if we would have done what your mother had said, increase the gas tax, I believe
2 cents.
2 cents.
2 cents.
It would have been paid for. But now we're stuck paying that thing for another
50 years, 58 years.
50 years, yes.
Yeah.
For nothing. And and that money has gone down to Florida, and with the contractor down there, and it's just bad money, bad business sense.
Absolutely. Yes.
But it goes back to voting also.
It definitely does. It definitely does.
When you let the Confederates in, what we have now in Richmond,
it's a trickle down effect. It trickles right on down to the local level. Yes. It does.
So don't complain. Don't complain.
Just go out and vote. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, as we prepare to wind down, it's important to mention that there are 3 seats becoming available. Am I not correct?
That is correct, Leah. That is correct.
Lisa. Yes. Also, 3 seats available, and it's important that you really check out every individual who's running, find out what they can bring to the city. Not, you really have to weigh them well. You really have to weigh them well. If the city is going to advance in any positive direction, we have to put the right people on city council. Doesn't have to be a friend. Sometimes it's best not to vote for a friend.
Absolutely.
The friend doesn't have what it takes in order to make the city better. Friendship is one thing, but getting the work done in the city is another thing. So look at everybody who's running. There are quite a few people out there running, but really weigh the individuals who are running and see who would work best to meet the needs of the city.
Absolutely.
And Lisa,
And a good point.
I have to make this point too, because early on in our conversation, you mentioned how Portsmouth was, their voting was the lowest out of all the
Yes,
cities in Hampton Roads.
absolutely. Mhm.
And that's worrisome because,
We used to be higher.
right, higher. And what happens locally affects you directly. Usually
Yes.
nationally, you have to wait for the things to trickle down and the state trickle down and affects you somehow. But locally, July 1, this budget is going to be into effect.
That's
July
right.
and November, a new council will be setting, or it might be new council people up there. So it's so important to, just get out and vote locally, and I just get so tired of hearing people complaining, and people still complain about the casino and it's almost built,
Yes,
and that's
exactly.
going to be a big economic engine for us. Way in the beginning, I was against the casino, but it took me time to see that whole development might spread into something, more than just a casino.
Right.
And it's here now. So please stop complaining and try to
Try to support. Try to support.
Get your family members to go out there.
Exactly.
Get your family members to go and try and apply for a job out there.
That's exactly it. Exactly it.
The money it's going to bring in, and it might improve those potholes that might be in front
That's
of your
right.
house, like it's in front of mine right now. But
Right.
had to throw
And
that
we
in.
need that revenue because there's no other money coming into the budget to complete those projects that are desperately needed to improve upon our city. And Leah, you did make a good point about the upcoming election. There are 3 seats open. We will know. I think it's June, after June,
Right.
first week in June, we will know who all of the certified persons candidates are. And then I hope that, people will pay attention to the forums and live segments like this, where you will bring on some of the persons who are going to be candidates so that we can hear, what their platforms are, because it's important that we put aside the fan club.
Exactly.
And we start
Yes.
to build up, we need resources that are going to improve our city. And if you find a person that can do that, put aside your blinders and vote for the persons who can get it done.
That's true.
Yes.
Very true.
Okay, as we wind down, Councilwoman, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burke, we want to thank you for coming on, and have to have you back because a lot of other things I wanted to get into the cohesiveness of the council and how important it is for, that to be sort of different, but we'll get into that another time, maybe before the election comes
I'd
in November.
love to be back.
Have you back on here to talk about some other things, because it's a wealth of information that you share with us today and that you can share in the future. So we want to thank you for coming on and getting up early and Delta Red to
Yes.
be.
Thank y'all for
And-
having me. It's always good to have this kind of open conversation and dialogue with people who are concerned about the progress of our city. So I appreciate you having me, and I'm looking forward to joining you at a future time.
We appreciate
Awesome.
that one. Thanks again. And Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our voice.
Our community.
In our future.
and we I hope that's coffee in y'all cups. But anyway,
Actually, my cup is empty. I apologize. That's why I'm a little slow this morning. I haven't had any yet.
and before we go off, Leah, will you tell the audience who our guest will be this Thursday on the Portsmouth Coffee Talk Evening
I
Edition?
am delighted to share who our guests will be this weekend, this Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. As you all know, we've been focusing on HBCUs during this month, especially as young people are preparing to go off to college, trying to give them some information so that they would know how to make a good choice in making college selections. Well, I'm extremely excited that this Thursday evening, my granddaughter, who is an uprising senior at North Carolina A&T, will be our guest on Portsmouth Coffee Talk Evening Edition. Her focus is mental health, and she has a project that she has put in place on the campus of North Carolina A&T, addressing mental health awareness. And so she will come on and not only talk about North Carolina A&T, but also to talk about mental health awareness and some things that we need to put in place so that we can make sure that we are always in a safe place and have individuals who are around us in a safe place as well. So Leah Imani Powell will come on next Thursday at 7 o'clock. Please join in and hear what she has to say. And she has a place, and I'm going to share it on my page, where she's taking positive affirmations. She's asking individuals to send in positive affirmations in which she's going to take to a hospital there to share with young people and adults in North Carolina A&T. So look on my page. I will put her statement on the page. And if you can go on and just write a positive affirmation, either for an adult or for a child, which she would share with individuals who are in need of receiving those affirmations.
And Lisa, and Leah,
It's LL Day, huh?
Yes, it's LL Day.
It's so important, and I'm happy to have her on there as a college student. First time we've had a college student on here, especially the pressures that some college students might go through on campus, being away, and the pressure of doing well while they're on campus, and suicide is prevalent on some of our campus with our college students and HBCUs. So it's going to be important to get a spin from an actual college student and what she's doing and the experiences she's had, personal experiences she's had with friends on campus. So we want all of you all to stay tuned or tune in on Thursday at 7 p.m. On Portsmouth Coffee Talks Evening Edition. Again, we thank you. God bless you. Take care.
God bless. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for all.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. I've
enjoyed
enjoyed it. All right. Have a blessed day.
Okay.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.